A pleasant morning to each and everyone. We are the Group 8 and we are going to discuss about exploring the dynamics of media, economy, and politics. So what comes into your mind when you hear dynamics of media, economy, and politics? It says the interconnectedness of media, economy, and politics is evident, as economic interests influence media ownership and content, shaping political narratives and public opinion. This relationship impacts election outcomes and societal inequalities, further complicated by the rise of digital media and concentration of power in certain industries. Engaging critically with these dynamics is vital for informed citizenship and for comprehending the role of media in society. And this slide, political economy of media. So what is political economy of media? Political economy is a study that, in the broadest sense, deals with how issues of ownership affect media. It deals with the overlapping threads of economy and politics, and how relations of ownership affect society and everyday life. More specifically, Robert McKenzie in 2008 states that the political economy of media focuses on the issues that follow the nature of journalism and its relationship to democratic practices, how media firms and market operate. So, when we say nature of journalism is the act of gathering, verifying, and presenting information to the public through various forms of media such as newspapers, televisions, radio, and digital platforms. And also, when we say relationship to democratic practices, journalism plays a vital role in democracy because it keeps citizens informed about social, political, and economic issues. This allows people to make educated decisions and participate meaningfully in governance. So, the next is understanding propaganda from governments, commercial interests, and private parties. So, when we say understand propaganda, it refers to the systematic spreading of information, ideas, or beliefs, often biased or misleading with the purpose of influencing people's opinions, emotions, or actions. It is commonly used to shape public perceptions and behavior in favor of particular cause, leader, organization, or product. Third is commercial media and the politicization of society. So, commercial media, it refers to the media organization that operate primarily for profit rather than for public service. Their main goal is to attract audiences and generate revenue through advertising, sponsorships, and subscriptions. Because of this profit-driven nature, commercial media often prioritize entertainment, sensationalism, and consumer culture over serious political and or social issues. This leads to what scholars call the depoliticization of society, meaning that people become less interested, less informed, and less engaged in political matters. Next is the relationship of media racial, gender, and economic inequality. When we say racial inequality, media often influences how races and ethnic groups are represented. When certain races are stereotyped, underrepresented, misrepresented, it strengthens discrimination and prejudice. For example, minorities may be shown in negative or limited rules, which affects how society views and treats them. Conversely, inclusive and fair representation can promote diversity, respect, and equality. While gender inequality, media portrayals can reinforce traditional gender roles and expectations. Women are often shown as passive or focused on appearance, while men are depicted as strong and dominant. Such portrayals limit how both genders are perceived in society. However, progressive media can challenge these stereotypes by showing empowered women, respectful men, and diverse gender identities, promoting gender equality and awareness. While here in economic inequality, it says that media can also reflect and reproduce economic divisions. Wealthy lifestyles are often glamorized, while poverty and working class struggles are ignored or misrepresented. This can create false ideas about success and blame individuals for their economic status rather than addressing systematic causes. On the other hand, Responsible journalism can raise awareness about social injustice, labor issues, and poverty, encouraging solutions for fairer opportunities. The next is the relationship of media to foreign policy and militarism. The next is the specific role of advertising in shaping media markets and content. After that, the communication policy making process. The next is telecommunication policies and regulation. The next is the relationship of communication to global and contemporary capitalism. After that, the nature of commercialism and its impact upon culture. Next is public broadcasting and the establishment of alternative media institutions and systems. The next is the relationship of media to popular social movements. And the last but not the least, the relationship of technology, media, and to politics and society. So, the next slide is information and the economy. It refers to the relationship between information like data, knowledge, and communication, and economic activity, how the production, distribution, and use of information affect economic growth, markets, and productivity. So, there are two types of ideas, which is information and economy. Information means process data or knowledge that reduces uncertainty and helps people or organizations make decisions, while the economy is the system of production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services within a society. So, what is economy? Economy is the system through which people in a country or community produce, distribute, and consume goods and services to meet their needs and wants. In simple terms, the economy is how money, jobs, and resources move. It's about how people work, buy, sell, and trade.
Peso dollar rates. The news media frequently presents the peso's strengthening against the dollar as positive, overlooking complexities in economic impact. A weaker peso raised prices for imported goods, especially oil, leading to increased transportation costs and utility bills. While exporters and overseas Filipino workers or OFWs benefits from a weaker peso, they still confront rising market prices. The media bears the responsibility to convey this nuances but often fails due to competitive pressures. What is stock market? Stock market refers to public markets that exist for issuing, buying, and selling stocks that trade on a stock exchange or over the counter. Stocks, also known as equities, represents fractional ownership in a company. And also, the stock market is a place where investors can buy and sell ownership of such investable asset. How it works. Companies sell shares to the public to raise money, and it's called an IPO or initial public offering. Investors buy and sell those shares on the stock exchange. The price of a stock goes up and down. Two key terms. First is the bull market. It is when stock prices are rising or growth. Second is the bear market. It is when stock prices are failing or slow down. Next, we have media and education. It's the process of teaching and learning about how media work, how they are produced, and how they influence individual and society. It helps people develop the skills to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and communicate using different media, such as television, film, social media, news, advertisement, and digital platforms. Here's a breakdown. First is understanding media. Second, critical analysis. Third, media production. And lastly is awareness.
Next to media and education is media. So what is media? It refers to the various channels and tools used to communicate, share information, and entertain a wide audience. This includes traditional forms like newspapers, televisions, and radio, as well as modern forms like the internet, social media, and mobile devices. Media can also refer to the organizations that produce and distribute this content. The media, often referred to as the fourth estate, are essential for keeping the public informed about government actions and providing a platform for people to voice their opinions. Now, there are three types of media: print media, broadcast media, and digital media. The first is print media. Examples of print media are newspapers, magazines, and books. The second one is broadcast media. Examples of broadcast media are radio and television networks. The third one is digital media. Examples of these are websites, online video channels, and social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. Now, there are three roles of media. First is informing the public about events, policies, and social issues. Second one is influencing opinions and shaping perceptions. The third one is acting as a watchdog by holding authorities accountable. Now let's go to politics. Politics is the set of activities associated with making decisions in groups, especially those related to governing, such as distributing status or resources. It involves the processes, relationships, and actions that influence how a group is governed, from the national level down to smaller organizations, and includes the struggle for power, the making of laws and policies, and activities like voting, lobbying, and protesting. There are four key aspects of politics: decision making, power and authority, governance, and conflict resolution. The first one is decision making. The core of politics is how groups make decisions, whether through formal governments or other organizations. Second is power and authority. It deals with who has the power to make laws, enforce them, and lead the community. Third one is the governance. Politics shapes how governments are run and how policies are created. And the last one is conflict resolution. It provides ways to manage disagreements among people or groups in society. Next to politics is society. What is society? An organized group of people living together in a shared territory, bound by common interests, culture, and a system of social institutions like family, government, and economy. It is characterized by persistent social interaction, shared norms, and a sense of community or shared identity that provides structure, protection, and a collective way of life. Now, there are four key aspects of politics: community of people, shared culture and norms, institutions, and interdependence. The first one is community of people. A society is made up of individuals who interact with each other. Second is shared culture and norms. Members of a society follow common customs, traditions, and rules. Third one is institutions. Societies have organized systems like family, education, government, and religion to maintain order. The last one is interdependence. People in a society rely on each other for resources, services, and social support. Now, there are three examples of society. First is a local community or town. Second, a nation or country. Third, cultural groups with shared language, beliefs, and practices.
Next, we have threats and risk related to mainstream media. First, we have misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation, sharing false or inaccurate information unintentionally. Disinformation, deliberate spreading of false information to mislead the public. Risk can create confusion, panic, or wrong decisions among people.
So the next is privacy violations. Personal data of individuals may be exposed without consent. The risk is threatens individual security and can lead to identity theft or harassment. So the second is commercial and political influence. Advertisers, sponsors, or governments may pressure media organizations to report in certain ways. The risk is undermines journalistic independence and objectivity. And the last is cyber threats. Mainstream media platforms can be hacked or manipulated online. Risk is fake news, defacement of official news sites, or leaking sensitive information.